Um, Good morning, everyone. All right, let's get started with this session. After our last session on risk management, I saw a shift in how many of you now approach trading and investing in general. I saw less chasing and more calculated sizing, which is foundational in surviving the market long term. But mastering risk is just the entry point. We're not just trying to survive here. We're trying to outpace the market, right? The real edge comes from knowing how to pick out the right tools to capitalize off the opportunity in front of you, and that's what we'll be going over today. I'll also be going over the top questions from the Q&A channel, and if there's time, open the floor for any other questions. This session, I really want to make it just about clarity. I want to not overcomplicate things. There's no need for overcomplexity. My goal is to make everything as simple as possible. Now, I also want to emphasize that this is for educational purposes only, and I am not a financial advisor. All right, with that being said, I want to show you guys what tools I use in TradeEcho that help me day to day in the markets. The first tool we'll be going over is called the Treemap. All right, so this tool is the market tree map. Think of it like a market heat map that lets you visualize the overall market performance for that day, showing you which sectors are strong or weak. It's one of the fastest ways to see market sentiment at a glance. I use it as one of the tools to help me form my daily bias, see where strength is building and which areas of the market are weak. Say you see the market or a sector is looking weak. If you have a bearish bias, you can possibly go and short that weakness. Or if you have a bullish bias on that sector, that same weakness may signal a buying opportunity. The same logic applies in reverse. When the market's showing strength, a bearish bias might see exhaustion, while a bullish one sees confirmation to buy. The next one we're going to just be looking at is gamma, but I am going to be skipping over gamma for this session. You can see gamma here. There's a gamma tool available, but I'm going to be skipping over gamma for this session, even though I do use it because it is a pretty complex tool and probably needs its own session. It's just if I really want you guys to have a good understanding and be able to apply it actually into the markets, not just know what it does, like I want to explain how you can apply this into the market day to day, I would need a probably its own session and a lot more time. You also need to mix it up with the delta and the vega and the charms. So with that being said, we're going to be looking at the next tool, which is a snapshot tool. So it's the things may take a bit to load here just because TradeEcho runs on live market data and the market is currently not open, so there's not any data for it to run on. So um, let's try to pick a different date here to kind of see the previous data and kind of work with that for this example here. Once it's done loading, I'm gonna click a date where the market's open. Sorry about that. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna select the date here. Let's do, yeah, let's just do Friday, right? Okay. So basically, when it pops up, this tool highlights which companies have the strongest bullish or bearish options flow for that day. You'll often see one important thing I really want you guys to pay attention here is you often see large caps like Nvidia or Tesla at the top. Like you see it almost all the time. It's not really too significant. That's normal since their volumes kind of dominate the market, but that noise isn't always useful. The real insight comes after the top seven tickers. That's where you can spot unusual flow, and that can signal some potential buying opportunity there. I want to also say you want to focus on the names that are showing strong bullish flow with minimal bearish pressure. That imbalance can reveal where smart money is positioning. And also, if you're bearish, you can also look at tickers that have a lot of bearish flow and minimal bullish flow. So let's say, for an example, if you see a ticker like Oakland near the top with heavy bullish flow and minimal bearish flow, it's worth adding to your watch list. That imbalance can often indicate a potential move, and you'll probably see it like down here in this zone here because it's not a big cap company like the Mag 7, right? You'll usually always see like the Mag 7 up there. But say if you see a smaller cap ticker up there, then you can kind of see which 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 small caps are getting a lot of bullish flow. So I'm trying to see if we can see some more tickers here. Because I know you can scroll down. Yeah, you can scroll down here. You can see more of them. This is a great tool, right? It works for me. It helps me out a lot when I can't find a ticker. I usually use this tool. But the next tool we're going to be going over is the News Edge tool. This tool is a live feed that shows any breaking headlines and catalysts that can move individual stocks or the overall market. Right now, it's not showing anything because it is a live news feed, so the market isn't open. So there's nothing for it to kind of catch or work on, but you usually see it right here in that zone. This tool can give you like information before the market fully prices it in. It's valuable for spotting potential catalysts and managing your investments or positions when headlights hit, right? It's very valuable. Like let's say for example, we're using Ookla here. You see some expected news or guidance hitting the feed. That can be an opportunity where you can position for the move or use it as confirmation for an existing setup or investment you're in. Like we're using Ookla here, but you can do it for any company. And it's really helpful. Like you can, with this news, I do a lot of news trades, as you guys know, so I use this one all the time. But you want to make sure you're pairing it up with other tools, right? You're pairing it up with the Treemap tool, the Algo Edge tool that we'll be going over shortly, and the Snapshot tool, right? You use those in some technical analysis, and then you should be finding high probability setups with using that. Now, the next tool we'll be going over is the Algo Edge tool. Many of you guys may know this tool already. This tool is an amazing tool. I use it all the time. A lot of people use it in the Discord already because it is in the Discord. I really like this tool because it has preset filters already, so you don't have to try to figure out which flow is actually valuable. Like it already has a filter set up for you for any type of ticker. Some sauce I want to give out is about the end how I use pretty much the high value 0 to E trade tab all the time, but what I like to focus on in that tab is the NDX flow. I know even though I trade SPX flow, I should be looking at SPX flow, but I like looking at the NDX flow because the contracts are a lot more expensive. They're a lot more pricier. So, and the spread is a lot wider to where you have to have some really good conviction to be taking big bets on NDX because you can lose 10% just um, within that spread, right? So I like looking at that flow because when people are taking bets on NDX, they have to have high conviction. And a lot more of the bigger money is on NDX. On SPX, there's a lot of noise, and the noise is a lot of volume, a lot of like noise, right? You'll see like 250K in calls and 250K in puts, and it's a lot more noisier than NDX. NDX, I feel like it's a lot more directional. And SPX and NDX, like the top holders, are basically the same. They're basically holding their top holding, like the top holdings are basically the same. So when NDX goes down, SPX goes down. That's how it's been recently. But this is basically what this tool is. It's an order flow tool that filters out the noise and highlights only the impactful trades hitting the tape. It comes with some preset filters already, as you can see, which helps you spot significant flow. This tool can help you see high conviction. This tool can help you see where high conviction traders are positioning themselves. You can also use it to confirm your bias or to catch momentum before it even like hits the market, right? You see like a lot of flow coming in for QCOM, and then you go in and you take the trade and you're like, bang, news comes out on the news edge that QCOM is signing a deal or something, right? That's a perfect example. Another example is, let's say you notice a huge surge of high value zero DTE SPY calls, which where price is holding at a key support level. It can help you validate a possible entry. Or likewise, if you see a sudden wave of high value puts, it can warn you to get out of your position before downside begins to accelerate. All right, I'm gonna kind of show you guys how to pair this flow with kind of technical analysis here a little bit, like an example of how you can pair this with technical analysis. So we're gonna be looking at a chart here. We're gonna be trying to find a chart here. Let's see. Try to find a good chart for you guys. Let me go down to the 3 hour. Yeah, 3 hour is good. But let me find a single ticker here. Okay, Tim, I don't like that chart. That was not the best chart to kind of show this example on. All right, I think I'm gonna use BMNR here.
All right, so say BM&R, right? You like the chart setup. You think it's gonna break out up to 54. You like the chart setup. You think you can break out to 54. Um, okay. I think BM&R is gonna break out, right? For whatever reason. You can go over here, search up BM&R. The high value, this is zero to T. You kind of want to look at weekly if you're gonna swing. You go to the weekly trades, search up BM&R, and then boom, you'll be like, okay, there's a lot of call flow coming in or a lot of put flow, right? And then you just send some screenshots to ChatGPT, kind of do an analysis on the order flow, and then if you like the order flow and you think it's gonna pop, you can position yourself correctly to make money off that trade. So that's how I would um find out what is noise and what isn't noise. Like you kind of want to tie it in with different tools. You don't just want to look at the order flow blindly. You want to tie it into other tools. Like say, and also another use case, say you're chilling one day and then you just see a bunch of calls hit the tape for like Palantir, like a bunch of Palantir calls hit the tape, like just keep hitting the tape, right? Palantir calls just keep hitting the tape. You're like, huh, maybe I'm gonna take a look at Palantir. And then you look at the chart and you're like, wow, Palantir is gonna break out. And boom, you could jump in on that. So that's how you can kind of signify what is noise and what isn't and what order flow. You want to make sure to use it with other tools, right? Not just blindly trade order flow. Okay, how to load how to load that summary statistics. Could you go more in depth about that, Ohms? How to load that summary statistics. But those NDX sniper trades are expensive premium. How do you convert that to XPX spike and premium? Your trades are quick in and out to chase. Okay, perfect example. Those NDX sniper trades, I don't like. I use that as direction. One important thing, kind of shift your perspective here. You don't have to get the same strike as any trader, as any order flow, right? You just have to be able to position yourself to make money with them on that wave, right? Think of the stock market in waves. You want to position yourselves um with the flow. So say, like you said, how do I know which SPX strike to take? All right, I see NDX. I see someone's gonna bet 1.1 million in NDX flow, right? Okay. For the summary statistics, wait, hold on, sorry. For the summary statistics question, that only loads during market hours when data comes in for that day. Ohms. So before I finish up with Hawkeye's question. All right, now Hawkeye. So say you see the NDX sniper comes in, right, with a big order flow of calls. That's just direction. Think of it directionally. So you'd be like, okay, NDX or SPX is gonna go up. NDX or SPX is gonna go up, right? So what I do is I take the normal contracts I usually take on SPX and I look at the SPX chart and I decide, okay, is this a good position to get in? I always look at the chart, always. Like I'm always looking at the chart. I took an NDX. I literally tell the NDX sniper last week. Let's see if we could find the positioning toward for it. It should be it was like in this. It was around like close to all-time highs. I want to go to the 3 minute because I remember on the 3 minute. Let's go to the 30 minute first. So perfect example, like, uh, because sometimes it's not the. It helps me so much because it wouldn't even be a type of positioning I would take, but because I see NDX Sniper took that and had a high conviction bet, I'm like, you know what? I will tail it. Just set my stop loss at like 10 to 20%. Where was it at? Where was like it has to be right in the morning around 13. I think whatever. It was like around here. I'm just use anyone as an example here. I think like the setup was something like this. Trying to find this for you guys so you guys can kind of visualize what I'm talking about. Okay, like here's a perfect example. Right at open, right? Right at open right here. I see we sell off, right? Boom, we sell off. Now, I'm like, okay, this is kind of hard price action, right? Look at just focus on these two candles right here. This candle right here, focus on this small wave and then focus on these two candles. We sell off right when the open starts. Boom. We open starts, we sell off. I see a big wick, right? I see a big wick on SPX. I see on order flow, NDX Sniper just put 1.1 million in calls. I'm like, okay, if this candle breaks above here, I'm jumping in. I'll set my stop loss like right here. It broke above, I jump in, boom, I caught the wave up on SPX. I would buy the same contracts that I usually buy. I'm just using that flow as kind of direction, right? I'm using it as like a bet on direction. So that's how you want to kind of think of the flow. Did that answer your question, Hawkeye? All right, perfect, perfect. Dimenzua, let me see. Just to clarify, buys equals someone buying these calls and they're executing at bid, meaning it's direct bias to direction versus sells. It's coach. Yes, yeah, exactly. Dimenzua, yeah, you got it right. Mhm. Yeah. So when buys is when someone's buying those contracts, yeah, betting, and then sells is when someone's. It's kind of the vice, like the inverse of that. But volume bar at the bottom isn't showing a spike candle close. Takes time, but you still jump in. Close. Oh, so in real time, um, in real time, this would like this is not real time, right? This is frozen. But in real time, this would be like moving, right? So I'll just put an alert right here, like right here, or I'll just be looking at price action. Once it breaks above 786, I'm jumping in, and it'll be moving. So I'll jump in, and then I'll catch these two moves. These are candles, right? It's frozen. These happen like on this literally happened on Friday. So I would like it would be moving. Like these candles would be moving. Okay, how to decide on exit? How to decide on exit? Um, you want to kind of use technical analysis. So that's where technical analysis comes into play. I'll give you guys some quick sauce right here. Quick, how to find quick levels of support and resistance. Okay, quick. I'm like quick. I use this all the time. This is literally what I use. Let's find a good chart. Let's find a good chart. Right here. Right here's a good chart. So this is support, right? I'm just put a quick. Let's use. How can I find one? Okay. So look right here. Um. All right. So this is on this wave, right? We hit support. This became support. Okay. Now it started rejecting here, so this became resistance, right? This is where price started falling off, rejecting. We started consolidating here. Now we fall down. We made a higher level of support, which is bullish, right? Remember, this is resistance. Don't forget. So we made the support, but this is still resistance right here. This would be still resistance. Say we come up and we break out of that resistance right here. 30 minutes. This now become previous resistance becomes support. So remember, a break of resistance, that resistance level now is the next support level. As you can see, we kind of start chopping in the zone, consolidating in the zone. And then look, we broke this level and then we started ripping down. So that's kind of how you use support and resistance. You kind of want to s- always remember that a break of resistance, that resistance level now becomes support almost every time. And then support is pretty easy to find out. Like support is just a previous support, as you can see. Like so, when you're trying to figure out your exits, you kind of want to mark the support and resistance levels, right? So a lot of times you want to get out before the previous high of day. If you're in calls, you want to try to get out majority of your position there. And say you're in puts, you want to get out majority of your position before the low of day. So say if I took puts up here, right? I want to kind of get out of majority of my position right here before we hit the support on puts on the downside. If did that make sense to you guys? Did that all make sense? So two things. When there's a break of resistance, uh, that is now support. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That way you're de-risking. Yeah, exactly. Just in case it bounces off that support level, you want to kind of get out before that low of day hits. Majority of your position. Sometimes almost all of it. It depends how the day is. So important. A break of resistance, that level oftentimes becomes the next support level. And it's an important level to keep an eye on. And this is on a like any big time frame. Any big time frame. And then a break of support onto that. Let's just that is gonna get too complicated. Just for calls, just a break of resistance is now the new support level, and then when that breaks, that means we can go touch the next support level, right? As you can see, literally, this broke, we went down to this one, but we made a higher low, so that's bullish, and that's why we went up. Remember, we made a higher low, higher low, higher low, bullish. I hope that was that good understanding. Did that all make sense? So that's some technical analysis right there. And you can see this on like your Robinhood phone. Like you don't need to have Trading View to kind of see support and resistance. On your Robinhood or Webull, you can just mark it out real fast. It's not something you need to be on the charts crazy on. Or even on Trading View, you can have Trading View on your phone. So that's how you kind of mark support and resistance. Sorry, there's so much noise here. So like you see here, and then, oh yeah, okay, okay. And previous support, okay, okay. This is another important. This is really important. How to know when to take profits, okay? I'm trying to find a good part in the chart here. Okay, this is perfect right here. This is another important one. So previous support, all you see these support levels where price is wicking off here. You see these support levels, right? Where price is wicking off here. Let me make sure you guys hear me. This now becomes resistance. This is now resistance. So say you're taking calls, you can kind of see here how price starts chopping and wicking, right? So you kind of, if you're on this wave up, you would kind of want to take profits, trim some here when we break, trim some again right here, right at the previous support levels because that is now resistance. As you can see, price started chopping. Then we broke that resistance and then we went higher. So previous support right here, that is now resistance. Previous support is now resistance on the waves up. Was that good? Did that make sense as well? So now we know a break of resistance is now the new level of support, and previous support is now resistance. Like C Blast said, think of it like waves. How do I trade this? I don't want to drop 10K on a trade. Um, you don't have to 10K. You don't have to take drop 10K. You can drop. There's different contracts. There's different type of tickers. There's cheaper tickers. There's SPY. You can trade at any size port. Really, you can trade at any size port. You don't have to drop 10K. So that's all right. That's a little technical analysis. We kind of derailed a little bit there. I am gonna stop the questions right there. I will come back to you guys after the next topic, okay? Just so we don't derail a little bit too much. I'm gonna have SPX just right here. That's good with you guys? I'm just answer this last one right here. Do you set a stop loss on all trades no matter the outcome? Yes, I do set a stop loss on all trades no matter always stop loss always. My maximum stop loss is 30% always. 30 to 35% always, and that's worst case scenario stop loss. Like always 30, 35% is my max stop loss no matter what. So that's the last question I'll take until I'll ask questions again. You guys can ask questions after the next topic. Now, all right. Next, I'm going to go over. Sure, I can see myself. All right. Next, I'm going to go over the questions that were asked in the Q&A thread. After that, we'll dive into how to properly tail alerts and opportunities the right way so you can maximize gains while minimizing losses. And I can't wait for the last one. The last one is going to really put things into perspective for you guys. Like I the last one I think is the most important. One of the once you have now you know the tools. The last part is knowing like how to use those tools and how to really be successful in Trade Echo. I think after this, we should be everyone in here should be profitable. Everyone who attended. All right, so Dio asked in the comments thread. Yeah, his question was how to trade in this news-filled market with Trump's posts constantly shifting everything. Did you guys hear the question before I continue? All right, perfect. To be honest, if you're talking strictly about trading and not investing, it is a much more volatile environment to trade in. But it's in volatility where opportunity arises. So I think if you play it right, this is one of the best markets to be a trader in. But you have to play it right. You have to be up to date with policy and the macro environment more than ever before so you can understand how his tweets, decisions, or policy changes can impact the market. If you don't understand that, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot. I would avoid swinging for long periods of time with heavy size that you aren't comfortable in the possibility in losing that money because the market is so volatile. One day we can be at all-time highs, the next day we can be dropping 1%, and the market is freaking out, and then we are back in euphoria the next day. And then at the end of the week, there's fears of the market crashing and a potential recession. And this can all happen in 1 week. Like, if you've been in the market, you understand this can all happen in just 1 week. If you don't understand the macro backdrop, you're not going to have the conviction to hold through that noise. So one thing you should not forget is about the taco. Like, remember the taco. Trump always chickens out. Like, Trump kind of doesn't want the market to fall too much. So just think about that. He likes to bluff. Just the taco means bluffing. That's one thing to keep in mind is his bluff, right? Don't let his bluff shake you out or beware of his bluff that it can possibly cause whatever position you're in to have some volatility. So you want to beware of that always. So beware of the taco. Now the next question that was asked was by Ombi. His question was, what is your recommended learning path for new people getting into trading? What resources would be useful to review and learn from? I think the most important thing for learning how to trade or get into investing is experience and also learning from other people's mistakes. While some people learn from their mistakes, the smartest people learn from the mistakes of others. Remember, like that's really serious. Like you'll see a lot of you don't have to make mistakes to learn. Like seriously, there's so much people in here, there's so much experience in here. Like I want to emphasize that one more time. While some people learn from their mistakes, the smartest people learn from the mistakes of others. Like people are like you don't have to make these mistakes to be successful. That's why we have this group. That's why there's so much traders in here. That's you can analyze and see the mistakes I'm making or other people are making, so you don't have to make those. That's the edge in being in a group like this. But as of resources, there's tons of resources in the education tab in the Discord. There's also education videos posted on I think on Save Last YouTube. And there's also so much knowledge in the chats constantly being dropped all the time. And I think that's where you can really get value. just from being engaged in the chats and asking questions. Like, do not be afraid of asking questions or looking dumb. Like, please, like, I think engaging in the chat, engaging in the Discord, being engaged, like, is so valuable. You'll learn so much more than any YouTube video, than anything. Literally, just being engaged in the chat, asking questions. I really want to emphasize this as well. Like another little quote. All masters of their craft are once beginners, and you have to be willing to look dumb before becoming knowledgeable. I think it's very important to remember that. And I would say for your sake, don't be scared to ask questions. Like we had a new member come in here called Bull. Bull is a perfect example of this. He's always asking questions in the chat and always willing to learn. I mean, look at his gains this week. It speaks for itself. I don't know how. I think he made more than 90K this week alone. And he's always in the chat asking questions and always being engaged and always like he doesn't care like what anybody thinks. He's just asking questions and willing to learn. Like you're not here to try to look smart. You're not here to try to be the smartest person in the room. You're here to learn and make money. The goal is to make money, right? So you're not don't have an ego. Don't feel like you're looking dumb or anything. Just be engaged in the chat, conversate with people, build connections, learn how to trade. That's a beautiful thing about this community is the ability to connect with so much different people and have so much different perspectives, right? We're not here. I'm not here. C Blast isn't here. Nobody's here to be the smartest in the room. We're just here to make money. That's the end. That's the goal. So before I move on to the last topic for today, any further questions? Those were the only two questions that were asked in the thread. I will check. Let me check one more time before I move. Let me check if there's another question before I move on to question from the chat. See, just in case there's any last minute questions or something. Okay. Okay, I don't. So, all right. New question by Dewalt. I don't have a clue how to trade the 2K trades with SPX and NDX that you guys are daily trading. It looks like I don't have access to SPX and interactive brokers, even in the options chain. Looks weird. When do I manage to pull it up for NDX? Can I just trade QQ? Okay. So for that question, all right, let me go back to the chat. I will answer that question right now. Pretty simple question to answer. If you don't have SPX and NDX for whatever reason, okay, there you go. There, look at the chat. Look at the live trading chat. Okay. All right. So did you get your question kind of answered, or do you want me to go over it a little more? It's the XPXW chain. I pull up. That looks weird. I do have it. Yeah. I do. I trade SPX as well. I don't know the SPXW. I think that's just like something with the bot. I'm pretty sure. Or something. I think they're all the same, right? Just make sure if your SPX looks like this, you should be good. You should be good. If your SPX has this price level and looks like this, then you should be good, right? Whether it's SPXW or SPX, I don't know the difference between the two, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I think they're the same thing. When in doubt, you can always just trade SPY or QQQ when in doubt. Just remember, when you're telling traders, think of it like the direction. Just find a contract that will pay you. Just find a contract that will pay you. You don't have to get the same contract as a trader. Just find a contract that will pay you and let you ride the wave with that trader. All right, so we're gonna do some questions here before we move on to the next topic. Fantasy. How do you set up a good stop loss so the moment you enter, it doesn't trigger? Okay. I don't know if you guys have seen me live trade before. Um, if you guys have, I do have a stop loss, but I base it purely on the chart. And my stop loss is pretty tight. It's like 10%. So I cannot mess up. I cannot mess up at all on my stop loss. Like I have to be on the money on it. but it's not a lot. It's pretty hard to do all the time, right? So I would say that's why I would say 25 to 20% stop loss. So how do I set my stop loss is a simple so it doesn't trigger. I would just set an alert. Like you can go on TradingView and you could set like these little alerts right here. So say like say your stop loss is a break of VWAP and you got in up here. So your stop loss is a break of VWAP, right? And you got in on here, up here. I would set my alert to approach right here. Right here, right before it hits VWAP. So right before this hits VWAP, I would put my alert right here. So I'm alerted that this is approaching VWAP and I have to keep an eye on it. And then that's when I can now have my stop loss ready I can now have my contracts ready to sell in case this breaks below VWAP. Did that answer your question, Fantasy? So trading view alerts is really good. Yeah, you kind of want to set these little. It'll ping you, so you can be chilling, you can be eating or something, and you'll get pinged, and then you'll be like, okay, hold on, I need to look at the chart, and then I possibly need to sell. Same thing with profit taking, right? So say if you're gonna if you're edging this gap fill or whatever, you kind of put an alert right be like a good amount before the gap fill, so you're alerted that we are approaching the gap fill profit target. So trading view is really good. No, no, I don't set it. So how I do it, right? How I do it is when I get this alert that the stock is approaching my stop loss, I'm getting ready to set my stop loss. And what I do is I set a limit stop loss. So it gets filled. So right here, I'll set my limit stop loss. And sometimes I have to change it, right? Sometimes I have to take a 20% or 15% loss because of price action. So I'm like, okay, I have to start setting my limit stop loss. So if it breaks, it'll fill right away, right? It'll fill right away because it's approaching. So there's a possibility that it might my stop loss is gonna get hit. So I want it to get filled right away, and then boom, that's how I would do it. So tooling question: what setup do you use to execute trades? Any integration of TradingView to brokerage context? I'm using mobile um, interactive brokers. Don't have much choice in UK for ability to trade. But one downside, it takes a while to figure out current option price and pulling that limit price. Full times trying to follow that time makes price to go up 15%, which gets you to the probably should not chase this. Yeah, I am sorry about that. I know I need to realize as well that there's different brokers because I'm just on Robinhood all the time. So I think that's ignorant of me to think that everybody uses Robinhood and that it's just so simple. Like just because it on Robinhood is very fast, right? That is very ignorant of me because I do that. Um, I am realizing that now that people have different brokerages and people takes them a while to find those option prices because I do have Fidelity and man, if I try to trade anything on Fidelity, it's just so confusing. Like I just it's like so much clutter, so much noise that I just keep my investments in there. Um okay, so there's an option right there for interactive brokers. Right there. So that's what I'm saying. It's very important to talk to people in here. Like, look, I couldn't really answer your question. Well, I can't answer it. I haven't answered it yet, somewhat. But some people in here could probably give you a lot better answer, right? That's why it's very important to conversate with people in here, get engaged in the chat, and just ask questions, right? You'll learn so much from people. Yeah, trading and Fidelity has it's it's so crazy. Robinhood may have its bad faults and whatever, but it's like I would think of it like the iPhone of trading because of the UI, the user interface is really good and really good in my opinion. Webull is also really good, but I would think as Robinhood as the Apple in brokerages. Let's see notation. Weekly. So okay, so you just trade a native UI. Yeah, I use Robinhood Legend. So Robinhood Legend gets you instant fills, like instant fills and instant like Robinhood Legend is amazing. You can chart on that. You can do a lot of things on Robinhood Legend. It's really good. Webull is also really good. The Webull charts are also very good. It's also very good. I did use Webull. I just used Robinhood because I just like the UI a bit more, but they're both really good, relatively good. They both have goods and bads. Every brokerage does. But all right, let's go over his question one more time. So it's a tooling question. What? So tooling question. What setup to use? So like I said, so the setup I use is just Robinhood Legend. Um, I just use Robinhood Legend to kind of take my trades. Maybe somebody in here who uses interactive brokers can kind of tell you what they do. Can we have the same kind of lottos every week as it yesterday was? The thousand, the 1,000% one. Yeah, that one went 1,000%. That one was crazy, and I feel for that because I need to realize that on Robinhood you can just go quick and find the SPX contract. That's why I feel like people ask a lot of questions with Strike because it could be hard for them, and I'm gonna do better. Um, and everyone's gonna do their best and trying to alert the best, right? I need to get better at alerting those type of trades because I know not everyone has Robinhood, not everyone has Webull. I have to be able to adjust to everyone. Can you please share CBlast like news every morning or weekly? Or can you please share like CBlast like news or do you guys? I used to do a market outlook every week, but so we have like 4 more minutes until the questions end until for the next topic. But I used to do market outlooks every week, but I didn't know if people were reading them. So I don't know if you guys want me to start that again. I could do a market outlook every week. I just didn't know if people were reading them, so I just stopped dropping it. I usually do lottos peach email like when I feel like it could pay. So that day I felt like it could pay, and then I also seen 40. Someone put 43,000 in zero DT puts. So that thing went 1,000%. That person made 430K. I think. My math is wrong. 430K. Should be. My math may be wrong, but I think that person made like 430K. Or no, more than 430K. Actually, hold on. Let me. So they put 43K in zero DT puts, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm telling that. See. No, no, they made no way they made 43 million. So whatever, they made a shit ton of money. What's the outlook? Can you show the BT cloud indicator and chart once? Yeah, of course. What do you want me to show specifically? I'll show you my indicators here. These are the ones I use. BT cloud. These are the ones I use right here. I don't use the moving averages too much anymore, but these are the ones I do use. Yeah, just all right. The PGML for lottos. Just think of days that are pretty volatile or the next day, like a good day to do a lotto would be the day before FOMC. You might see some sell off there. So you can do some puts maybe if we see it market run up. So you want to kind of do it the day before a big event or something or after a big event. What's the outlook for this group? Do you plan on doing this for years? Well, I was I honestly was in this group just like you guys. I was in here just like you guys. I am still in here just like you guys. I will continue to be in here. It's just great, right? I made a lot of money from you guys in here. Like there's been people I just really good being in here. Like Steel has put in plays, somebody else has put in trades. People have brought in news that I wouldn't have thought of. It just is so much people in here that there's can be so much opportunity. So I will stay in here forever. I will learn in here as much as you guys want me to. I will do this as much as you guys need me to. So I'm just here. Like I like being part of this community. I like this group. I like what it is. That's I'm gonna be here for as long as I'm trading. Do you set daily and weekly profit goals? Yeah, I set weekly. So what I do is I reset my trading port every week and I cap my trading port to a size that if I lose all that money in that trading port, like say I tilt, because that's happened to me before where I've tilted and lost a shit ton of money on the port and my port was way too big to where I shouldn't have had my port that big. So guess what? I learned from that lesson and I was like, okay, I'm gonna cap my port to a size. I haven't tilted in a while, but we're human and tilts happen. So I just cap my trading port to a specific size and then I build up that support every week, and then I cut it back to that size after that weekend. So yeah, I focus on weekly profits. I focus on weekly profits. I have a goal, all right? So this is how it goes. I have a monthly goal, right? And in order to hit that monthly goal, I have to hit my weekly goal. And in order to hit my weekly goal, I have to hit my daily goals. So really, I just take it day by day. And if I'm taking it day by day and I'm doing the right things, my monthly goal will hit either way, like regardless. So really just take it day by day. Like, don't focus on the day before. Don't focus on previous losses. Don't focus on previous months. It doesn't matter no more. That doesn't benefit you anymore. Just take it day by day. I just take it day by day. That's how I look at my. I do have my goals, right? But every day I just forget about the previous day. I just take it day by. Like literally, say I made a shit ton of money the day before. I forget about that. It's a new day. I just focus on doing what I'm supposed to do that day. Even if I take a big loss the previous day, I forget about it. I just focus on what I can do that day to be profitable for that day. When you alert, you don't have to write out BTO, but can you just say your calls and puts when to enter? Yeah, of course. I'm gonna be working on alerting a lot more. I'll probably add you guys. Questions are about to end here soon, 2 minutes before we go into the last topic. Yeah, I'll be working on my alerts for sure. Can you export and share those indicators? Um, it is on TradingView. I don't know how to export it. They're right here. If you, I will take a screenshot of it and then send it to chat. You can just search them up on TradingView. They should pop up. Yeah. So I took a picture of it. I will post it here so you guys can save that. Okay. Same for exits. Please alert if the trade is okay for sure. Is there something you look for when doing a swing trade due to a smaller account? I could get flagged for to look if I have to look for more swings. You can go to cash account unless you're using margin. I use a cash account. I don't use margin. Yeah, I think I got banned from Robinhood for using because I was pattern day trading. I was doing that, so they banned me. But I had to do it. I literally had to. I had to take that ban. So and either way, I can't even. I day trade so much that it doesn't. I have to do cash. Well, I got banned. I got banned when I first did it, so I can't even. Like I'm literally banned from. I can use margin, but I can't. I'm literally banned from that. I think it was like 2 years ago when I got banned from it. I still haven't appealed it because I don't care. I just use cash, and it kind of helps me out a lot more. Using cash because like it caps me out from like messing up my port. I think with margin, it's kind of with margin you can overtrade a lot more. So when I'm using cash, once my cash is gone, like my cash is gone for that day, I can't make another trade. But yeah, that's need author names, please. Oh, author names. Okay. All right, we're gonna move on to the next topic. I will give you just remind me, Hawkeye precise, and then so the next topic. This is the final topic here. Uh, now the last and final topic. This one's really a mindset and perspective shift. How to properly tell alerts and opportunities the right way so you can maximize gains and minimize losses. I kind of went over this already in the last session, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna drop a quick recap of what I went over in the previous session in the chat here. Just once this ends, I'll drop that like how to size and how to tail, right? That's gonna be dropped in the chat. But the reason after this live ends, so you guys can see how you should be tailing and what strategies you could be using on tailing. But the reason I want to go over this again is because I'm still seeing people have a hard time with this and struggling with this. So we need to do we need to shift our perspectives here. Telling alerts and taking advantage of opportunity is skill. It's not super easy. If it was, then everyone would be rich. I see a lot of people in here struggling with FOMO to where they chase trades or positions that are already gone. They tail impulsively, looking to catch a banger trade every single day, or acting off emotion when they miss out on a trade. This is a losing mindset, and these bad habits will get you killed in the markets. You lose a lot more from acting on FOMO than from missing out on an opportunity. If you have been in this Discord for a while, you should know that there's always another trade, always. People missed out on open and probably thought there was never going to be another opportunity like that. Then came BYND a couple weeks later. People thought the same for the Oklo trade that we alerted, and it went 1,000%. But then came Lily, and then came Oklo again shortly after. What I'm getting at here is that if you acted off emotion or FOMO and expected the next trade to be 1,000% trade and got greedy or oversized or chased plays expecting to catch that life-changing trade, you probably most likely lost money in that pursuit. Now imagine if you saved that capital and compounded consistently and used that capital on the next trade that looked like it was setting up to be that potentially be one of those banger trades, right? It is statistically proven that if you stay disciplined and consistently use the tools like the ones in Trade Echo to put yourself in good positions, you will eventually catch that life-changing trade or investment without the need of luck and uncertainty. It will come from sheer discipline. I want to kind of get real here. One successful trade gets your money back for the monthly cost on Trade Echo. One successful trade out of the hundreds of trades alerted weekly. There's generally 30 days in a month. I would say there's at least 10 or more trades or investment opportunities every week that give more than a 70% return on investment. There's honestly no reason to try to catch a banger trade every day. As an investor, as a trader, I would focus on just tailing or taking opportunities that have the highest probability of giving me a good return. And how would I know that? Using the tools and resources given to you in Trade Echo. Over time and with experience, tailing and exposing yourself to these opportunities and learning and engaging in the chat, you will know how to position yourself to get the best returns on your trades or investments in this Discord. And when you decide to be a serious trader and decide to be disciplined, you will change your life forever. So I want to close that off. I need people to shift their mindset. I will be dropping the strategies and how to be sizing into these tailing in the chat after this live session ends. We already went over that in the last one, and I just wanted to bring it back because I am seeing people struggle with this, and I think it's just a mindset thing more than an opportunity thing and more than a skill level thing. I think it's more of a mindset thing. And if you are, or that's kind of a scarcity mindset, focusing on just one play. No, I was just saying how one trade will pay just one. All it takes is one trade to give back your money that you invested in here. One trade. So you shouldn't be like FOMOing into every trade. You should be precise with what trades you tail to be successful. Is what I'm kind of getting at. Like there's like say if you miss out on 1-2 trades that week, there's at least like 15 trades alerted that week. So if you missed out on 1 or 2 trades, there's still like another 13 that you could tail if you just focus and forget about them, right? So that's kind of what I was getting at there. Now, we can do questions here. Any questions on tailing, anything involving tailing, how opportunities, anything, any questions overall, we can do all questions here. But I just wanted to end it off with like kind of a mindset shift and kind of put things into perspective. How like don't just don't get FOMO because you miss out on this trade. Like there's always another, like always, there's always going to be another trade. There's so much trades alerting in here. There's so much trades constantly alerted in here that you shouldn't just be focused on that one trade that went 1,000. Like look, perfect example is open. People thought, oh, there's never going to be another open. Then came BYND. So any questions you guys have here? Anything, I will be covering them. I will drop this strategy. I'll drop like a doc so you guys can kind of visualize it. I think that would be a lot more helpful for you guys than just speaking about it. I'll drop the the strategy doc. Let's see Speed's question. His question here. I've seen you take SPX trades with low confidence, like the instances where you take only 10 instead of the usual 30. Is that only from profits? Well, I try not to take low confidence trades, but it's really sorry, my voice is going out here. It's really depends on the context, right? So I'll probably type in the chat if I'm sizing with profits, if I'm using profits to take this trade, or if I'm just sizing small, right? So that I'll probably say in the chat right there. It really depends on the context. I try not to take low confidence trades. I want every trade to be high confidence. But say if it's a lotto, yeah, of course, I would size probably 10 contracts because that's what I'll be comfortable with or something like that. But I'll put in the chat always context. I'll always try to give as much context as possible. Just to get back to your XPX trades, you look at NDX float with trade SPX, yeah. But instead of trading SPX, I can find a SPY contract. Yeah, of course. You can, yeah, they'll all move the same. The only thing is with SPY, you want to be more conservative because you're not going to get the same gains as someone would get on SPX. So don't expect to get 100%, but you're also not going to lose as much as someone loses on SPX. So it comes with its goods and bads. If someone posted a trade, how much higher would you be willing to pay if they paid 0.10? You wanted to so 0.10. So if it's a contract, that context is very important in trading. There's never one answer to like there's never one specific way to approach it, right? So if I'm gonna tell you the math real fast. So if it's 0.10, right? That means if you put it's gonna move aggressively. So if it goes from 0.10 to I'm gonna type it in the chat. If it goes from 0.10 to 0.5, you just lost 50% right there. You just lost 50% right there. So that's why it's important. If it went to 0.10, I would probably go only in from 0.13. Like I'll probably tell at 0.13 max. And that's if I really believed in it. But like say if it's like something like a 3.10, right? If it's 3.10, I will tell like 3.40 max, 3.40, 3.30. Like 3.30, like that's the range. That's max, right? That's where I cap. Like anything above that, I'm capped. Like I'm not gonna tail. But when it goes to those cheaper contracts, it's a little more scary because you lose a lot of money quicker, and and the moves are a little more stale. It's a lot more patience. So like with that, those are kind of you want to be careful with those. Yeah. So gamma and delta are huge huge things that I use, but they're just they're very complex, right? And if I'm trying to explain it in a way that's easy to understand, and I don't like to be to I don't like to focus on over complexity. So I want to really be able to explain it in a way that's easy to digest and easy to understand, right? And to be able to make money off of. And in order to do that, I would kind of need like its own session to really go into delta, gamma, and then charm and Vanna, right? That would probably be on its own session and kind of show you guys how to use it. When the gamma heat map comes out, I'll probably go over that for you guys. I'll just like or the AI covers it pretty well, so maybe I probably won't need to go over that. I was gonna like just drop it in the chat how do you possibly use it, but I think the AI goes over it pretty well. So I do use gamma, delta. I use all that all the time. Just one thing to say about gamma when you see let's go here. Let's just go here real fast. I'll show you. I'll give you guys real fast. This isn't I want to be careful here because let's see. Okay, so say just quick. This is gonna be quick right here. So say you're in SPX calls. Say you're in SPX calls, right? You're trying to get in. You're trying to ride a wave. Say you got in at 6,740. This is kind of choppy. This isn't the best, but what you want to focus on is this gamma wall right here. This is kind of a magnet, and this would be resistance. So as we're approaching this, you want to kind of like start cutting size. Start cutting your size, and then you want to will most likely reject off this huge wall here. So this is like a magnet though. It will usually pull price to that magnet. That's where dealers are kind of wanting price to be at. Because the reason gamma and all these things are so much more important in this market, let me make sure my mic is working. Okay. The reason why gamma and all these things are so important in the market is because I don't know if you guys know this, but zero DTE trading is just exploding. I forget how much volume it is. I think it's more than 50% of the daily volume is zero DTE. I could be wrong. I need to check that, but I know a significant amount of volume is zero DTE trading, and that can make the price swing like crazy. That's why you see the price recently just swing crazy, like so much swings in price action and a lot of ranging. And how the dealers protect themselves and how they manage all that zero DTE is with gamma and all these type of things. Like they try to bring price back to these levels, right? They let price swing, right? So they'll let price go over here, they'll let price go over there, but at the end they want it to close around this big magnet there. You guys kind of get that? That's like it's that's a very like there needs a lot more context to explain gamma, but a lot more context, right? It's just this is just a little tip of the iceberg to kind of get it a little bit. Um, you need a lot more context for gamma there, but that's like that's something that I think could help out a lot of people. Like just pay attention. This is the most important level right here. Another thing is if say if price is falling down and then you see a gamma wall, right, a huge gamma wall, that's a good level of support there. So say this was right here and we're falling, that would be a good level of support because it'll bounce from that price, right? And then now they'll let it YouTube University. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, you can find, I don't know, a lot of, so you got to be careful with YouTube sometimes because like if you think about it, the real edge, like trading is all, I'm gonna get to Brian's question. I'm gonna get to Brian's question. I'm sorry, I kind of derailed here. I'm gonna get to your question, Brian. Um, the thing about YouTube, you have to be careful because the market is all about edge. That's why I'm careful with giving out my edge because the market's all about edge. And if everybody on YouTube is trading the same thing, there's no longer an edge. Um, if everyone's doing the same thing on YouTube, like let's say ICT or whatever that thing is, if everyone's doing that, the edge is kind of gone. Like there's no edge there. The market makers, once the market makers start seeing those patterns in the market, they're gonna adapt to it and they're gonna start using those people as like liquidity. Like literally, they're gonna use those people as liquidity in the market. That's fire. Look, that's good to hear. Like I'm telling you, I think the problem's in now in this court, like for people, I don't think it's really an opportunity or education thing. I think it's more of a mindset thing. Like I think it's more of like a mindset thing. Like if you want to get serious about trading, you have for your sake, you have to be disciplined. If you want to get serious, like it's if you want to be rich and you want to change your life, if you actually want to change your life, right? We're talking about changing your life here. Changing your life here is not going to come by gambling. It's going to come by being sheer discipline and actually wanting to do this. And even if you're just investing, you like we called out so many tickers that like as an investor, like say you're not even a trader, as an investor, you can just bring so much value because there's so much opportunity. Like you could trade BYND in shares. You can trade open in shares, and you can just passively invest in those and then probably sell them the next week or something, and then you would have been up big. Or say when I called out the bottom of UNH, the bottom of Apple, the bottom of XYZ, and hopefully the bottom of Amazon. Those are all passive investments that I just invested in and I haven't looked back at. So, and being in here gives you so much knowledge as an investor because you can kind of say the market takes a shit one day and you're like, fuck, like what the fuck's going on? You can just come to the chat and you can see all these different perspectives, and you don't want to just follow these people. You want to kind of take in all these perspectives and use some critical thinking and come up with a decision on your own. Because if we're talking about you wanting to make a shit ton of money and change your life, it's not going to come by gambling. It's going to come from sheer discipline and actually wanting to do this. Like changing your life is a huge thing, and you can change your life from investments and trading, but it's not going to come from gambling. Now let's see what Brian said. Agree with everything you were saying. I also don't take or follow any trade unless I have confidence in it as well. It's paid off for me sometimes, and I've also missed some big moves, but I like to take responsibility even if I'm tailing. I see too many times people get upset if a trade CBOT doesn't pay off for them. Yeah, and Brian over, I know you're pretty new, right? I know you're pretty new here. I think, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, about a month. So you're pretty new here and you're making money, and now you said you missed out on some big opportunities. But imagine over time how much knowledge you're gonna get to where you'll be able to spot when a big opportunity arises. Big thing I'm gonna go over right here. This is a big thing. So when you guys are like, say a big thing over here that I use constantly, and I'm kind of burning out an edge here. I don't want C-Blast to put this in the clip. I'm just like, I don't want him to put this in the video, but think of it like this. When you guys see like a pretty like open, right? So say like you've seen a lot of moves like open and you're like, oh, that's a fucking meme stock, right? Whatever. I think of that as well, but doesn't mean you have to shy away from those plays. It's important to always have some type of exposure in those news events and those high volatile events. Put in like, say if your port's $1,000, put in $200 in there and have a stop loss, and that can end up doubling your port by just having some tiny exposure. Don't go all in. You don't have to go all in. You shouldn't go all in ever on those plays, but just have some exposure to those possibly big opportunities. And Brian, like eventually you're gonna be able to spot like a BYND and you're like, okay, this one might explode. Let me just put a like 2% of my port in here, right? Just to have some exposure, even though I don't agree with it fully. It seems like a lot of people do, and I may be wrong. Let me just put some money in there, and then boom, you'll grow your money past like you'll grow your money like that. So exposure. This is like exposure is a big thing. Like putting a little bit of money in some things that you also have to feel like they could hit big, right? But you don't fully believe in it. You don't have to shy away, right? You don't have to go all in. You can just put some exposure in there. Think of trading as like exposure. Like I want to have some exposure to like say the nuclear sector is going to blow up and everyone's talking about it. You're like, okay, I don't know much about nuclear. Let me just put some exposure in there. Let me put some money in that. Oh, it's because it's the weekend, Holmes. It is the weekend. So that's, but with Gamma, right? Gamma, you have to use it with all the tools. You have to use it with all the other tools present. Don't just, Gamma can also be wrong. All these tools can also be wrong. That's why it's important to know what tool to pick out that day. So that exposure, what I just went over on exposure, I think that's one of the most important things that we're touched on today is exposure. Think of having exposure to things, putting your money in there and having some exposure to it, right? Now think of it like this. I may have too much exposure in meme coins or meme stocks, sorry. I may be having too much exposure in here. I can get killed. You take out some money, but you leave some in there, right? Just in case it keeps running. And that's how you should be playing these names, these type of events. So it is. I think it's probably because it's the weekend. That it's freezing. I've seen that C last TK trades have always been profitable just since he treats it just like the challenge. Oh yeah, it did freeze up a bit. Okay. I've seen that Steve Blast 2K trades have always been profitable. It's just that since he treats it just like challenge tries to get 100% or so on that, but I cut them at 30% or so. Sometimes I miss the big moves, but green is green for me. I am def around 4 to 5K from the 2K challenge, even though the challenge is dead. There we go. Perfect example. Another reason why I would say it's very important to talk to people in this chat. So much people have different experiences, and you can kind of learn from their experiences. It's important to be engaged in this chat. Don't feel like for your sake, ask questions. If you want to make money, ask questions for your sake. I'm not saying this for me. I'm not saying this for anybody else. I'm saying for your sake, you want to ask questions and discuss with people in here. But any questions you guys have? Any questions at all? Like just drop them in. I can answer any question. For Walmart ticker, it says use 3 characters. Let's see. Yeah, Gamma tab is on Trade Echo. It's right here. So I think next week, he's gonna be rolling out the. Oh, there you go, LWG. Those are the indicators I use. Please enter at least 3 characters. Okay, I think so. NDX, SPX. Interesting. Hold on, let me see this. I think he may have the gamma only for the big indexes. I think that's why he might only have gamma available for like SPY currently, right? He might have it only for SPY, QQ, like the indexes. Any way to mimic BT Cloud and Robin Legend? Uh, I would just say VWAP and stuff. Probably like VWAP. It's probably like a break of VWAP and holding VWAP. That's probably like your best thing when you start to trim. Okay, let's see this one. All right, you or C Blast. Your C Blast trades are very difficult to catch. What suggestions do you give to be faster? I do think I would do better on my end on the alerts. That's something that I have to do better on my end. But to be faster, just um it's hard. It's hard because when I tell like, all right, let me look at it from my perspective because I do tell some C Blast trades, right? It's just hard because I know on Robinhood it's pretty easy, but I don't know what brokerage you're using. Because I can say like I was kind of ignorant before by saying it's really easy like on these different brokers, but I forgot there's different brokerages, right? On Robinhood it's pretty easy to tell. You just click on it real fast. But I know on different brokerages it's a lot more difficult. So what brokerage are you using? So I can kind of like tell you like how to speed up your tailing process. Public, public. Okay. Um, what is slowing you down? Like the you finding the contracts or you seeing the alert? What's slow? What's like the slowing? What's the process that's slow for you? Like hard for you to speed up? Finding the contract. Okay. All right. Finding the contract. So say let's do this, right? Say if it's an index trade that moved pretty fast, or say if you're taking my trades that move pretty fast. Um, I'll give you for me personally, if you're gonna tell my if you see me put an SPX alert, I always usually take contracts that are 3.3 and above. So if when you go to contract and see it's $3 in that range of $3 to by the time I see it, price goes up. Well, this is just to speed up that process. So, um, when you see, I'll explain it further. When you see me alert an SPX call, go to SPX, look for the contracts that is around 3 to 3.80. Those are the contracts I take. So now you can find the contract really a lot quicker, right? Now, if it goes up, say my alert was at 3.10, no, 3.10, sorry, not 3.19. Say my alert was at 3.10. Um, I would max tail that alert to 3.40 to 3 point so that's the range you want to be in for my alert. Max 3.40. Max. You don't want to go above that. Max 3.40. And you should generally be profitable on the wins and losses, win to loss ratio. I think we went above it. Yeah, so now we went through how to speed up the process. On SPX, I usually get the threes, or just honestly just find a contract that works. If like through experience, you kind of find the contracts. If you think it's going to be a quick trade, especially on indexes, just find a contract that it's going to pay you. So like point 0.2 delta. So find contracts that have point 0.2 delta, point 0.2 delta. Those are the ones I usually trade, point 0.2 to 0.25 delta. So yeah, point 0.2 to 0.25 delta, I always usually trade that delta. That's my delta. That's my bread and butter. So point 0.2 to 0.25 delta. I don't know in other brokerages. I know Robinhood it's kind of harder to see that, but on other brokerages, I think they kind of put out the delta there, so you can kind of see it a lot better. All right, let's go to the next question here. Did that help? Did that answer your question? Like I said, if you do miss a trade, there's a huge amounts of trades. There's a lot of trades, right? So don't feel like what I emphasized earlier. Don't feel that FOMO. Don't feel that like there's going to be so much trades, there's so much more trades, and don't like just focus on trying to as get better at picking out what trades to tail because it's a skill, right? Just focus on learning and picking out what trades you should tail, what investments you should like focus on that. Like try to get better on that, and then you'll be extremely profitable. It'll be literally like free money. You see an alert, like okay, I think I looked at the chart. This is gonna pay. I'm in. This is gonna pay. And then majority of the times, if you're tailing a profitable trader, um, yeah, I do use the fib levels, right? I use all tools. For example, but it's context, right? It depends. So when I seen like here, I used the fib on the 3 hour, and it was pretty accurate. Well, it's not on the 3 hour really, but on a smaller time frame. So I used this fib on the 3 hour, um, and you can see it broke out. But the reason I use a fib at 3 hour to mark big levels of support and resistance, and you can see here, literally in the golden zone, it just always bounced, broke out, bounced, and then when it broke out the golden zone, it fucking dipped like huge. Like once it broke that golden zone, like heavy. Once we're under the golden zone, I was like, okay. Every time we're under the golden zone, we dip more, except for this one time. So I do use it with context. And you can see here, once we went up, we touched the 0.382 on the fib, and then we just broke out to all time. So it kind of, if you look at the fib, it literally played the fib very nicely. Not perfect, right? Because nothing's perfect. Of course, the market makers know about the fib, so it's not going to be perfect. They're always going to try to shut people out, but if you use it correctly, it's a really good indicator. So the fib is very simple. So I use it on a large time frame. I use it on like the 3 hour. I just the high and the low. The swing high to the swing low of the wave. So when I seen us have this big crash, I was like, okay, I'm gonna draw a fib here. And this is the range. So I use the fib as like a range. So the swing high to the swing low. Yes. So you can do another fib. I don't want to move my whatever. So you can do a fib like this now, but you can use it on any time frame. But just the swing high of that wave to the swing low, like you see this wave. So now this is a GZ, and you can kind of see we bounce off this one perfectly, right? So if we look at this wave, only this wave, up, this is the new high. This is the new high here. So this is the GZ now. This is the GZ. And if you look, we kind of bounce perfectly off this golden zone level. No, off this fib level. Sorry, the golden zone is here. Off the fib level. Okay, okay, let's do this. Let's see the other questions. It has been beneficial watching you trade on non-SPX traders too. When you start to trim, yeah, I do trade on Fridays. I'm very systematic. So Thursdays and Fridays, I always try to look for single tickers. The reason why is because contracts are now 1 DT, so 0 DT. So that means you can make a lot of money off a small scalp. So especially if any catalysts come out that day, I want to trade those tickers. When you start to trim a position, do you normally do that when it's heading to resistance or when you reach a certain percent? So I do both. So say this is one of my rules. When I hit 50, if you see my trim levels, so at 30% profit, I de-risk, right? 30% profit, I de-risk. But I'm also using levels, right? I'm also using levels. Like my percentages usually match with what I'm charting out. But sometimes, contracts move slower, contracts move faster, whatever, right? So you have to adjust. You have to be fluid. But generally, I de-risk at 30%. And then now I move my stop loss to break even. Now after that, I try to get majority of my position out from 50% to 70% profit. I'm trying to be out at least half of my position. Now, anything after that, I'm just using the chart levels. I'm just, yeah, support and resistance. That's all I'm using for the rest of that. You're just locking in profits. The golden zone is the yellow one. The gold.
All set.
So I hope to answer your question. So I use chart analysis with percentages. First trim is always a de-risk trim, de-risking out of that position. Second trim is locking in profits. And then the third trim is just playing the levels. So you can take 3 contracts. Say you take 3 contracts or whatever. Say your port is smaller. You take 3 SPX contracts or 3 SPY contracts. You can do the same thing and you'll be profitable. So say you take one, right? Say you take 1 contract. If you target the right levels,